Good morning, dear friend. As the first rays of sunlight begin to touch the edges of the world, I welcome you into this sacred moment, the quiet breath between night and day. This is the hour when the world is still, yet your spirit is being called to rise. The morning light does not just awaken the earth. It calls your soul to lean into something deeper. Right now, before the noise begins, before distractions knock on your door, there is space for something holy to unfold. You are here not by accident. This moment has been waiting for you. Maybe you arrived carrying more than you could explain. Maybe your heart is heavy from battles no one sees. Perhaps you have been trying to hold yourself together in the dark, whispering silent prayers through clenched fists and wary tears. I want you to picture someone, maybe it is even you, sitting alone at the edge of a hospital bed, or at the end of a long hallway after receiving news that shook the very ground beneath them. Their phone is full of messages they cannot answer. Their soul is echoing with questions they are afraid to speak out loud. They wonder if God sees them, if He hears, if He cares. And though the world keeps moving, their world has stopped. This is the space where faith is no longer just a word, it becomes breath. Not because everything is okay, but because you need something bigger than pain to hold on to. You need something more secure than what you feel. And that something is the hand of the one who created you, who knows every hair on your head, every tremble in your heart, and every unspoken fear you have buried deep inside. Friend, the journey you are about to begin is not one of polished words or perfect answers. It is a journey through the real, the raw, and the sacred. Prayer is not performance. It is presence. It is not about having the right emotions. It is about bringing all of them to the right place. Every fear, every doubt, every ache that has not healed. You do not need to be strong here. You only need to be honest. Because the truth is, prayer was never meant to be a way to escape life's struggles. It is the lifeline through them. Faith does not erase the storm. It steadies your heart in the middle of it. And sometimes, faith looks like whispering, "I believe," with tears still on your face. Sometimes it looks like showing up again when nothing has changed. Sometimes, faith is not the absence of fear, but the decision to trust even while fear speaks. So this morning, let this be more than just words in your ears. Let it be the beginning of a divine conversation. Let it be the place where the silence inside of you starts to break open and make room for healing. Let your soul know that it is safe to hope again. Because hope is not naive. Hope is holy. I invite you to breathe deeply, to release everything you have been gripping so tightly, to come just as you are, whether full of faith or empty and tired, and enter into a space where heaven meets earth. The God who moves mountains is near. He is not waiting for you to get it all together. He is simply waiting for you to turn your face toward Him. This is your invitation, not to understand everything, but to be held, to be heard, to be healed. Let us begin. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you in the quiet of this early morning, when the world is still wrapped in darkness and silence lingers in every corner of my soul. I do not come pretending to be strong today. I come tired. I come with a heart weighed down by questions I have not dared to ask out loud. I come because I have nowhere else to go. And even though I cannot see what lies ahead, I am reaching for you through the fog of confusion and the ache of weariness. Some days begin heavy, not because of what is happening around me, but because of what is breaking inside. This is one of those days. The night felt long, longer than time could measure, and though the sun is rising outside, I feel like I am still waiting for light to find me on the inside. I wake up to the same problems, the same worries, the same spaces that feel unanswered and undone. I try to hold on, but hope feels distant and faith feels thin. But still I come. I come not with certainty, but with surrender. I bring you the broken places, the ones I have tried to hide from others, and even from myself, the thoughts that whisper I will never make it through this, the emotions I push down because I am afraid they will drown me, the heaviness that clings to my chest like a shadow that will not lift. I bring it all to you, not because I know what to do with it, but because I believe you do. I do not need you to explain everything today. I just need to know you are here, in this moment, with me. I need to feel the weight of your presence more than the weight of my circumstances. I need to be reminded that I am not walking through this alone, that this valley is not endless, and that even though I feel stuck, you are not. You are never stuck. You are always moving, always reaching, always seeing beyond what I can see. So if all I can do today is breathe in your name and exhale my fear, let that be enough. If all I can say is help me, then hear it as 1,000 prayers folded into one fragile whisper. You know my limitations, God. You know how hard it is to trust when life feels uncertain. You know how often I have said I am fine when I was not. You see through the smile I wear in front of others. You see the tired eyes behind the mask. And you still love me here. Thank you for not demanding perfection from me. Thank you for allowing me to come honestly. Even when I feel like a mess, I do not need a platform. I do not need the right words. I just need you. My soul longs for comfort, not answers. For presence, not performance. So I let down my guard in this sacred space. I remove the armor I built to survive, because I trust you enough to be vulnerable here. Speak into the emptiness, Lord. I do not need a loud miracle. I just need a quiet assurance. I need to know you are working, even when I see nothing changing. I need to be reminded that the story is not finished, and that hopelessness is not the author of my life. Remind me that darkness does not last forever, that the same God who paints the morning sky with color is the same God who can awaken hope inside my heart. Today, I am not asking for everything to be solved. I am simply asking for enough strength to make it through this day without breaking, enough courage to keep showing up, enough peace to quiet the noise in my head, enough grace to be kind to myself when I fall short again. Let your mercy meet me where motivation fails. Let your compassion carry me when my confidence cannot. I know there are people who seem to walk through life with unshakable faith. Today, I am not one of them, but maybe that is okay. Maybe faith is not always about standing tall. maybe, sometimes. It is just about not walking away, about staying here, about whispering your name, even when everything in me wants to give up. If that is faith, then I still have some left. Small, maybe, but real. So meet me in this place. Not the place where I hope to be one day, but the place where I truly am. In the tension, in the H, in the question, in the stillness. Hold me steady, even if I tremble. Wrap me in your nearness, even if I cannot feel it yet. I do not ask you to take away every storm, but I ask you to remind me who you are in the middle of it. Let this morning be more than the start of another day. Let it be a turning point, not because circumstances change instantly, but because something shifts inside me. Let faith be born not from what I see, but from who you are. Let trust rise, not because I understand, but because I believe you understand me. And let the silence that once felt like abandonment begin to feel like an invitation to draw near, to listen, to rest. I do not have the strength to run ahead, but I have just enough to reach for you, to say, with trembling hands and a weary heart, that I still believe you are good, that I still believe you are near, that I still believe light is coming, even if I do not see it yet. Let that belief be enough for today. Let it be the beginning of something holy. Let it carry me one breath, one step, one moment at a time. Lord, you heard me yesterday when I could barely speak. And today, though my voice is still quiet, I come again not because I feel strong, but because I know you listen even when all I can offer is a cry. You are the God who listens to what others overlook. You hear not just the words from my lips, but the trembling of my heart, the silent ache in the spaces I do not know how to name. And so I continue, not because everything has changed, but because you have not. The heaviness did not disappear overnight. My questions did not resolve while I slept. But something happened in the quiet, a small shift, a faint whisper reminding me that even my weakest prayers are not wasted, that you are not far, even when you feel silent, that my voice, though thin and broken, still reaches heaven. This morning, I am not coming with the language of certainty. I am coming with longing, with vulnerability, with the raw kind of hope that survives the night and wakes up still reaching. God, I have felt the weight of loneliness. Even in a room full of people, I have smiled through things that left me undone inside. And though I have tried to hold it together, some days I feel like I am unraveling, thread by thread. There are burdens I have carried for so long they feel like part of me now. There are memories that replay like echoes I can't keep quiet. There are wounds that time has not healed and questions that only grow louder with the silence. But even with all of that, I still choose to come to you, because you are not a God who turns away from weakness. You lean into it. You do not need my perfection. You never asked for that. You asked for my heart. So this is me, offering it again, bruised, tired, but open. Sometimes I wonder if my tears speak louder than my words. If the way I pause mid-sentence and swallow hard is a kind of prayer. If my sighs, my hesitations, my silent stares at the ceiling are ways my soul cries out without sound. If they are, then you have heard me more than I realized. Today, I bring you the burdens I can't carry alone, the ones that keep me up at night, the fears I avoid putting into words because I am scared they will become more real, the things I have not told anyone because I do not want to burden them too. But you, Lord, you invite me to lay it all down. You are not overwhelmed by what overwhelms me. You are not surprised by my emotions or ashamed of my battles. You welcome it all, the full, messy, honest weight of what I am walking through. So this is me, unclenching my fists. I have held on too tightly to things I was never meant to fix on my own. I have tried to solve what only you can heal. I have tried to push forward when you were calling me to pause. I have fought for control when you were offering peace. And now, I am tired of carrying what does not belong to me. I am ready to let go, not because I have the answers, but because I believe you do. I believe you hear the cry beneath the words, the one that says I am scared of the unknown, the one that wonders if I will ever be okay again, the one that still believes, even if it is just a flicker, that you can meet me here. I believe you see the broken places I hide, that you understand what I do not say, that you hold the tears I never let fall, and even when the world says I should be over it by now, you stay with me in the H. Let this cry be more than pain. It is a cry for presence, a cry to be seen, a cry to not feel invisible in this storm. You are the God who came close to the rejected, who sat with the forgotten, who wept at tombs and listened to desperate voices in the crowd. You never needed crowds to notice someone's pain. You just needed one heart turned toward you, and mine is turning now, slowly, hesitantly, but truly. So hear me, God, not just the words I form, but the ones I do not know how to. Hear the places I have silenced because I thought they were too messy for you. Hear the places I have pushed down because they hurt too much to revisit. I am not asking you to fix everything right now. I am asking you to sit with me in it, to hold what I can see anymore, to speak peace into the spaces where panic lives, to breathe calm into the corners where fear still lurks. Help me know that being overwhelmed does not disqualify me from being loved, that my cry does not push you away, it draws you near. Teach me to trust that you respond to desperation with tenderness, not judgment, that you lean into brokenness, not away from it, and that when do not have a powerful prayer, the whisper of God, help me, is enough. Let this be a moment of honest nearness, not a performance, not a formula, just me and you. Right here, let your spirit meet me in the places I have shut off, your presence settle where anxiety has made a home. Let my heart begin to believe again, not because I feel brave, but because you are faithful. Show me that I do not have to shout to be heard, that I do not need to pretend to be okay to be welcomed, that the cry itself is holy. This cry is not just sadness, it is courage. It is the sound of a heart refusing to shut down. It is what it sounds like to still be reaching, to still care, to still long for light, even when surrounded by shadows. And if you can hear this cry, then I know I am not alone. I know there is still a thread connecting me to you. And maybe that is all I need right now to know that even in my silence, even in my uncertainty, even in my fear, you are listening. You are near. You are still God. You are still listening. And you have not forgotten me. Father, even as the weight in my chest still lingers and the silence has not completely lifted, I sense something shifting, not in my circumstances, but in my soul. That cry from within me, the one you heard when no one else did, has begun to stir something I did not expect. Not resolution, not relief, but memory, a whisper of something I had forgotten, that this is not the first time I have felt lost. And it is not the first time you have found me. You have done it before. That simple truth settles slowly over me, like a soft blanket placed on trembling shoulders. I almost did not notice it at first. This faint recollection of the times you carried me, when I did not know how to move. The moments when I was certain everything was falling apart, but somehow grace held me together. The days when I thought I had reached the end, but you opened a way where there was none. I remember not with the clarity of exact details, but with the deep knowing that you were there. There was that time I stood on the edge of something that terrified me. I was afraid of failing, afraid of falling, afraid of what would happen if things did not work out. I remember feeling unqualified and unprepared. But somehow, I made it through, and looking back, I know it was not my strength that carried me. It was yours. You placed people beside me when I needed them most. You gave words when I had none. You gave rest when I could not keep going. You did not always change the storm, but you changed me inside it. And then there were the days when loneliness wrapped around me like fog. When I thought I had been forgotten, I had no idea that you were already working behind the scenes. You were orchestrating connections I could not see, planting seeds that had not broken the surface yet, answering prayers in ways I did not recognize until much later. You were present, even in the seasons when I thought you were silent. Lord, how many times have I assumed you were distant, when really you were simply moving in a different rhythm than mine? How many times did I walk through the day unaware that you had gone ahead of me, shielding me from what I was not strong enough to face? I confess that I forget too quickly. I let fear rewrite the story you have already proven faithful in. I allow my current struggle to erase the chapters where your goodness carried me through. But not today. Today, I choose to remember. I choose to pull memory like thread from the corners of my heart, to bring back to the surface the testimonies that pain has tried to bury. I choose to let my past with you strengthen my present, not be hidden behind it. I choose to speak of the times you sustained me when I had no words to pray, the nights you comforted me without fanfare, the mornings you met me with mercy I did not ask for, the gentle way you lifted shame from my shoulders when I expected only judgment. These are not just sentimental reflections. They are the foundation of my trust. They are sacred reminders that you are not a God of distant compassion, but of consistent nearness. You were the same God then, and you are the same God now. And even though everything in me sometimes wants to panic at what I can control. I look back and see the undeniable evidence that you have never failed me. Sometimes it was not the miracle that changed me. It was the memory of your presence in the middle of the mess. Sometimes it was just knowing I was not alone, that you were sitting with me in the sorrow, holding me when I had no more strength to hold myself. And sometimes it was the smallest sign, a song I heard when I needed it most, a phrase spoken by someone who had no idea what I was going through, a moment of quiet peace in a day full of chaos. These were not coincidences. They were your fingerprints. So today, as I sit here in a season that still feels fragile, I look back to strengthen my gaze forward. I look at the pages already written to remind my heart that the author is still writing. I rehearse what you have done to ignite hope for what you are still doing. And even though I do not know how this current chapter will end, I know who holds the pen. Let the act of remembering become an act of worship. Let it be my rebellion against despair. Let it be the way I fight fear, not with empty optimism, but with the solid ground of who you have already been. I may not have clarity about tomorrow, but I do have a history with you, and that history speaks louder than the noise of the present. You have rescued me from pits I dug myself. You have walked with me through storms I did not choose. You have spoken identity over me when all I heard was shame. And even when I turned away in frustration or disappointment, you never turned your back on me. I see now how patient you have been, how kind, how persistent in love, even when I was inconsistent in faith. You have been my steady place, so I anchor my soul again, not in the comfort of understanding, but in the certainty of your character. If you were faithful then, you will be faithful now. If you made a way before, you can make one again. And if you held me through every other unknown, you will not let go now. You did not bring me this far just to leave me lost. Let these memories breathe life back into my weary spirit. Let them become the wind that lifts me out of the heaviness I have been sitting in. Let them remind me that I am not starting over. I am continuing with the one who has never stopped walking with me. Let the echoes of your goodness become the soundtrack that drowns out doubt. And when new fears come, as they always do, let them run into the wall of remembrance I have built here. Let them collide with truth I have seen with my own life. You have never failed. You are not about to start now. And though I may still be waiting for the dawn to rise in full, I know I have seen your light before. And if I have seen it once, I will see it again. God, the memories I revisited still sit warm in my chest. They reminded me that you have never left, that you have always been near, even when I did not notice. But now, even with those moments of comfort returning to mind, the storm around me has not stopped. The questions still swirl. The weight still presses. And this morning, as I sit with all that remains unsettled, I am not looking for the kind of thunder that shakes the heavens. I am listening for the whisper that steadies the soul. I used to think your voice would come loud. I thought maybe it would split through the chaos like lightning, commanding all my fears to scatter in one instant. But I have lived long enough to know that your presence often arrives quieter than I expected. You do not always speak through miracles or sudden change. Sometimes you speak in the stillness that follows my surrender. Sometimes you speak when I finally stop trying to hear what I want and begin listening for what I need. So here I am again, in the storm. It has not changed since yesterday. The winds of uncertainty are still howling. The noise of fear is still knocking at the door. The waves of pressure still rise and fall around my thoughts. But somewhere deeper than all of it, I am beginning to hear something else, a quieter sound, a whisper not born from panic or pressure, but from peace. It does not promise to take the storm away, but it reminds me that you are in it with me. Lord, I do not want to mistake your quiet for absence. I do not want to assume that just because you are not loud, you are not near. Teach me how to tune my heart to the frequency of your whisper. Teach me to recognize you not just in the breakthroughs, but in the breath between battles, in the pause, in the quiet moment before the next step. Let my ears learn the sound of your nearness, not just when life is still, but even when it is loud. Sometimes I chase after answers, thinking that clarity will bring peace. But you have shown me that peace often comes first, even when clarity does not. And sometimes your whisper does not solve the storm. It simply anchors me through it. That whisper that reminds me I am not alone, that I am loved even here, that you see me, you know me, and you are holding me even when nothing else makes sense. I think of Elijah, standing on the mountain, desperate for a sign. He saw fire, he saw wind, he saw an earthquake, but you were not in any of those. You were in the gentle whisper. And maybe that is what you are doing with me now. Maybe you are not trying to impress me with power, but invite me into presence. Maybe you are not silencing the storm around me, because you are calming the storm within me. God, I want to be someone who knows your voice, not just when it roars, but when it rests. I want to be the kind of person who finds peace in the middle of unknowns. Not because I figured everything out, because I found you in the space between, in the still small voice that says, I am with you, even when the road ahead is hidden in fog. So help me quiet everything else. Quiet the noise of comparison that tells me I should be further along by now. Quiet the voice of fear that imagines the worst. Quiet the echo of shame that tells me I am not worthy of peace. And in that quiet, speak again. Speak to my identity. Speak to my fear. Speak to the places that still brace for impact. Whisper truth into the lies I have believed for too long. Remind me that I am more than what I feel, and that you are greater than what I face. Let your whisper guide my next step. Let it be the reason I stand back up. Not because the storm is over, but because I have heard something deeper than the fear. Something more stable than the chaos. Something more faithful than the fear of failing again. Let your voice, however soft, rise above the noise in my soul. This whisper does not demand attention. It does not force itself. It waits for my stillness, and so I choose, right now, to make space for it. Even if I can't quiet everything around me, I can quiet my response. I can pause. I can breathe. I can sit still long enough to notice that you are already here. Sometimes I look for the grand answer and miss the gentle one. I ask for the wind to part the seas, but you send stillness to part the noise. You do not always fix the external first. You often go deeper, straight to the heart. And is there you speak, not with judgment, not with impatience, but with tenderness. You whisper to the places where I have hidden my doubt. You speak to the H that logic could not reach. You meet me in the room where fear had been making all the decisions. And your voice reclaims it. Your whisper pushes fear out, not by shouting it down, but by showing me something stronger, a peace not built on circumstances, but on presence, a confidence not based on outcomes, but on the reality that you are here. Lord, let this be the sound that defines my morning, not the voice of anxiety predicting disaster, but the voice of my shepherd calling me by name, calling me loved, calling me steady, calling me home. Even while I am still walking through the storm, you know how to speak to me in ways no one else can. You know how to reach the places I thought were too guarded, and you know how to do it gently. So if all I hear today is a whisper, let it be enough. Let it settle me. Let it carry me. Let it remind me that I am not forgotten or forsaken, that even in this storm, I am not lost. I am seen. I am known. And I am deeply loved. That kind of whisper is more powerful than any shout. Let it be the sound I return to when the storm grows louder. Let it be the voice I anchor to when fear tightens its grip. Let it be the reason I keep going, even when I do not feel brave, because I do not need to hear thunder to know you are speaking. I just need to hear you, and I do, even now. Especially now. Father, your whisper still lingers in my heart, and though it calmed something deep within me, it did not suddenly reveal the road ahead. I wake into this moment knowing you are near, yet I still cannot see where I am going. The path in front of me feels hidden, not because you are distant, but because I am being asked to walk without the comfort of clear direction. This unsettles me more than I want to admit. I like knowing what comes next. I like certainty. I like having something solid to step on. But today, all I have is you. There are seasons when vision feels blurred, when every option looks uncertain and every decision feels heavy. This is one of those seasons. I stand here weighing choices that feel larger than my strength. I replay conversations, second-guess instincts, and wonder if one wrong step could undo everything. I confess that fear often disguises itself as caution, and anxiety pretends to be wisdom. I struggle to tell the difference. I want to move forward, but I am afraid of moving the wrong way. Yet even here, you invite me to trust you more than my understanding. You ask me to release the need to map every step, and instead place my confidence in your guidance. That feels vulnerable. It feels risky. Feels like stepping forward without seeing the ground beneath my feet. But something inside me knows that clinging to control has only made me more exhausted. I have been gripping tightly what was never meant to rest in my hands. God, I admit that I often try to figure things out before I surrender them. I want answers before obedience. I want reassurance before movement. I want confirmation before commitment. But you gently remind me that trust does not require clarity. It requires relationship. You are not asking me to see the whole path. You are asking me to walk with you, one step at a time, even when the future feels undefined. So I pause here, not because I have nowhere to go, but because I need to let go of the pressure to know everything. I breathe in the truth that you are not confused by my uncertainty. You are not anxious about my questions. You are not pacing heaven, wondering how things will turn out. You already see what I cannot. You already know where this road leads. And you are patient enough to walk at my pace. Teach me how to move forward without fear dictating my choices. Teach me how to listen for your guidance instead of the noise of my worries. Help me recognize that hesitation does not always mean wisdom, and that delay can sometimes be rooted in fear rather than faith. Give me discernment to know when you are asking me to wait, and when you are inviting me to step forward. Even if I feel unprepared, I lay down my demand for certainty. I surrender the urge to control outcomes. I release the belief that I must understand everything before I obey. I trust that you will light the next step when I need it, not before. I trust that you will steady me when I stumble, not condemn me for not knowing. I trust that you are far more committed to guiding me than I am to following you. There is comfort in knowing that my life is not held together by my decisions alone. You are the one sustaining me, even in moments of hesitation. You are the one guarding me, even when I am unsure. You are the one leading me, even when I cannot see the direction clearly. I may feel lost at times, but I am never abandoned. I may feel uncertain, but I am never without your care. So today, I choose to take the next faithful step, even if it feels small. I choose to trust you with what I cannot figure out. I choose to believe that obedience matters more than understanding, and that your wisdom surpasses my limited view. I choose to walk forward, not because I am confident in myself, but because I am confident in you. Let my heart rest in the truth that you guide those who lean on you. Let my mind release the pressure to solve what you are already handling. Let my spirit find peace in the knowing that I am not walking alone. Even when the way ahead feels unclear, I will keep moving with you, trusting that each step taken in faith is enough for today. Father, as I continue walking forward without seeing the full path, I begin to notice the places where my steps have slowed the most, not because I am tired, but because I am standing in front of doors that will not move. I have pushed on them with effort. I have reasoned with them. I have waited in front of them longer than I ever planned to, and still they remain closed. This is where frustration has lived inside me. This is where disappointment has quietly gathered its strength. Yet this morning, I sense you inviting me to look at these doors differently. I admit that I have tried to open what was never meant to respond to my force. I have mistaken persistence for pressure and faith for control. I have leaned my weight against what refused to give, thinking that effort alone would make the way. And when nothing happened, I questioned myself. I questioned timing. I even questioned you, but now I am beginning to see that a closed door is not always rejection. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is preparation. Sometimes it is simply waiting for the right authority to arrive. Lord, I confess how exhausting it has been to stand in front of what will not move, to feel delayed while others seem to walk freely ahead, to wonder if I missed something or failed to hear you clearly. These moments have tempted me to pry, to force, to compromise my peace just to feel progress. But you are gently teaching me that not every barrier is meant to be broken by my hands. Some doors respond only to the one who holds the key. So I step back now, not in defeat, but in trust. I release the pressure I placed on myself to make things happen. I release the belief that my strength determines access. I acknowledge that you see what I cannot see behind these doors. You know what waits on the other side. You know the timing that aligns with purpose rather than impatience. And you are not withholding from me. You are guiding me. I realize now that my role is not to force entry, but to stay faithful in the waiting. To keep my heart aligned even when movement feels slow. To trust that you open what is meant to open and keep closed what would harm me if entered too soon. This requires humility. It requires restraint. It requires believing that you are good even when my plans are paused. God, I bring you every door that has caused me pain, the opportunities that did not unfold, the answers that did not come, the transitions that stalled unexpectedly. I lay them at your feet, not as evidence of failure, but as invitations for your authority to move. I ask you to open what only you can open, and to close what I have been trying to force. Guard me from stepping into spaces that look promising but lack your peace. Teach me to recognize your hand not only in what moves forward, but in what remains still. Teach me to wait without resentment, to trust without striving, to rest without giving up. I want to live with the confidence that what belongs to me will not require pressure to obtain. What you intend for me will respond to your timing, not my anxiety. There is freedom in knowing I do not have to wrestle every door. There is peace in trusting that you are working even when I am standing still. And there is strength in believing that no delay can cancel what you have already decided. I choose to believe that the door meant for me will open with ease, not struggle, with clarity, not confusion, with peace, not regret. So I wait here, not as someone forgotten, but as someone being guided. I remain attentive, not passive. I stay faithful, not frantic. I trust that when you turn the key, the way will open fully, not partially. And when it does, I will know it was not by my force, but by your hand leading me forward into what you prepared. Lord, I have stepped back from the doors I tried to force open, trusting that only you can unlock what was meant for me. But as I stand here, hands now empty, heart still expectant, I realize that waiting comes with its own kind of weight, not the heavy kind that crushes quickly, but the quiet kind that presses in slowly, almost without notice. It settles into the spaces between hope and reality, and before I know it, I am carrying awareness I can always explain. I did not think waiting would feel this lonely. I did not expect it to test me so deeply. There are days when I am strong, when I can hold faith with open hands and believe that good things take time. But there are other days, Lord, like today, when waiting feels like a wilderness. No signs, no milestones, just stillness. just silence. Just me looking out into what feels like an endless stretch of nothing moving. And yet, I am still here. That has to mean something. I have not walked away. I have not stopped hoping. Even if my hope has become a quiet flicker instead of a roaring fire, it is still burning. I still believe you are working. Even though I can see it, I still trust that your timing is not a punishment, but a plan. But God, it is hard. Waiting feels like walking uphill without knowing how far is left to go. It is tiring in a way that does not show on the outside, but wears down the soul. I bring you this tiredness now, not to complain, but to be honest. I do not want to pretend I am unaffected. I do not want to dress up my weariness and call it peace. You see through every layer. You know that I am trying. You know that I am holding on with faith that sometimes feels thin. And you have not turned away from me in it. You have not rebuked me for feeling the weight of it all. Instead, you invite me to place it in your hands. So I do. I place the unanswered questions here. The longings that have not been fulfilled. The prayers I have whispered for weeks or months or even years. The dreams that still sit on the shelf, gathering dust while others are living out their answered prayers. The comparisons I try not to make but sometimes do. The H that wonders why it is taking so long. I place all of it before you, not because I expect instant change, but because I know I can carry it alone. Help me find meaning in the waiting. Help me see it not as wasted time, but as preparation. Show me that you are forming something inside me that is just as important as what I am waiting for. Maybe the delay is not about denial. Maybe it is about building endurance. Maybe it is about shaping trust that is not based on outcomes, but on relationship. Maybe it is about becoming someone who does not just receive blessing, but carries it well. Remind me that some of the deepest roots grow in hidden places. That just because I can measure progress does not mean you are not moving. That just because I have not seen the door open does not mean you are not standing right beside it, holding the key, waiting for the moment when everything aligns. You do not operate on my calendar. And though that sometimes frustrates me, it also comforts me, because I know you see what I cannot. Teach me how to live in the in-between with grace, how to celebrate others without bitterness, how to speak life over my waiting rather than cursing it, how to trust that what you promised still holds power, even when the promise has not yet arrived, how to believe that delay does not change destiny, and how to rest without becoming numb. Waiting does not mean nothing is happening. It means everything is unfolding in its proper time. Lord, I need a patient heart, one that does not rush you, one that does not confuse speed with favor, one that does not settle for less just to escape discomfort. Give me strength to resist shortcuts. Give me discernment to know the difference between an open door and a distraction. Keep my eyes on you, not just on the outcome. Let the longing for what is ahead never replace the intimacy of walking with you now. I do not want to waste this season by only looking ahead. I want to receive what you are doing in me today. Maybe you are teaching me how to be still. Maybe you are stretching my trust. Maybe you are healing parts of me I did not know were broken. I do not want to miss that. Let this waiting be a space where something holy grows. Let it be a space where gratitude can still rise, even when nothing changes externally. Thank you for being a God who sits with me in the wait. You do not hurry past my questions. You do not dismiss the ache. You sit with me here, quiet, steady, present. You know how to strengthen hearts without loud answers. You know how to breathe peace without fixing everything all at once. You are enough for me here, even if this chapter stretches longer than I hoped. So today I rest in the truth that waiting is not evidence of your absence. It is a place where you often do your most transformative work. And while I still long for breakthrough, I choose to trust the beauty of becoming. I choose to believe that the wait is doing more in me than I can yet see. I choose to stay open, even when it is uncomfortable. I choose to stay present, even when I want to run ahead. Whatever you are building in the silence, I say yes. Whatever you are shaping through this slowness, I surrender to it. Whatever strength you are growing in this tension, I receive it. I will not despise this season. I will not curse the time. I will let it teach me. I will let it soften me. I will let it draw me deeper into your heart. And when I feel like the waiting is too much, remind me again. Whisper again. Hold me steady again. Because I may be waiting, but I am not without you. And if I have you, I still have everything I need. Father, in this long season of waiting, as I have learned to sit with the silence and carry questions I cannot yet answer, I am beginning to notice something else, something deeper than frustration or longing. I am noticing the parts of me that feel cracked, the places within that do not just feel tired, but worn thin, the spaces where I have kept going but quietly wondered if I was breaking in ways I did not know how to admit. It is strange how pain does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers from beneath the surface, tucked behind smiles and routines. And sometimes I carry it so long that I forget it is even there until something touches it, and I feel the sharp edge again. There are wounds I have dressed in silence, hurts I never gave voice to, not because they did not matter, but because I did not know where to place them. But you see them. You have always seen them, God. There are places in me that feel forgotten, not by others, but sometimes even by myself. I have spent energy trying to stay strong, trying to be steady for those around me, trying to be faithful even in the unknown. But in the quiet moments, when the noise falls away, I can feel the ache, the disappointment that never had language, the loss that still lingers, the hope that got smaller when time passed and nothing changed. And yet, even in this fragile state, I hear you calling me not by my pain, but by my name, not by my brokenness, but by my worth. You are not afraid of the parts of me that feel undone. You do not withdraw when I bring you the pieces I can hold together. You draw closer. You kneel down into the mess, not to judge or fix too quickly, but to be with me in it. You are the God who stays when things fall apart, the one who does not look away from the cracks, but gently traces them, reminding me that broken does not mean abandoned. I do not need to pretend here. I do not need to polish my prayers or hide the tremble in my voice. I can bring you my raw, unfinished emotions. I can tell you the truth I have not dared to speak aloud. That sometimes I feel unseen. That sometimes I wonder if the hard places in my life matter to anyone. That sometimes I question if healing is still possible after so much time has passed. And you do not turn away. You meet me right here. You remind me of Hagar in the wilderness, the woman overlooked, dismissed, and wandering with nothing but sorrow. And yet, you called her by name. You gave her a promise. You opened her eyes to a well she had not seen before. You showed her she was not invisible. And I believe you are doing the same with me. I believe that even in my desert places, you are the well I did not know was there. That your mercy is deeper than my shame, and your nearness more healing than any answer. So I stop running from my brokenness. I stop trying to tape it together just to make it less noticeable. I bring it to you fully, freely, honestly. I lay down my fear that being fragile makes me less faithful. I lay down the lie that being whole means being unscared. I am learning that wholeness in your presence has nothing to do with perfection. It has everything to do with being known and loved exactly as I am. Let this moment be where shame loses its grip. Let this be the space where I learn that vulnerability is not weakness, the birthplace of healing. I do not need to hide the tears that come without warning. I do not need to dismiss the ache that lingers beneath the surface. I am not too much. I am not too broken. I am not forgotten. You are the one who collects my tears, the one who writes down every cry I did not even realize I released. You see not just what I show the world, but what I carry when no one else is looking. And you do not love me less for the weight of it. You love me enough to hold it with me, to carry me when it feels like too much, to whisper truth over me until I believe it again. I may feel fractured, but I am still held together by your grace. I may feel unseen by people, but I am known intimately by you. I may feel like I am fading in the background, but you have never lost sight of me. You have watched every silent battle. You have stood guard over every vulnerable place. And you are still here. Not because I have earned it, but because that is who you are. Let that truth settle deeper than my fear. Let it sink into the places that ache the most. Let it replace the lies I have carried about what it means to be valuable, to be worthy, to be whole. You do not measure me by my strength, but by my surrender. You are not impressed by what I can manage, but moved by what I entrust to you. So here it is, all of it. The fractured pieces, the old regrets, the questions that still sting, the memories I try not to revisit. I give them to you, not to forget them, but to let you redeem them. You are the potter who does not discard what is marred. You reshape. You restore. You refine. And sometimes you leave the cracks so that the light can shine through them. Father, I may not feel whole in the way I imagined, but I know I am not lost in the brokenness. You are here. You are working. You are healing in ways I cannot yet see, and though the pain may not leave all at once, I trust that you are walking me towards something deeper than relief. You are walking me into restoration. This pain will not define me. This wound will not isolate me. This chapter will not end in silence. You are the God who writes redemption into every story surrendered to you. And today, I surrender mine again, not with bitterness, but with hope. Hope that even here, in the parts of me that feel overlooked or unfinished, you are doing something sacred, something lasting, something beautiful. Father, as I lay down the broken pieces and trust you with what feels unfinished inside me, I begin to sense a different kind of struggle rising. It is quieter than the pain I carried before, but no less real. It is the resistance within me, the place where fear and faith collide, the space where my heart wants to believe fully, yet still flinches at the thought of disappointment. This is where the mountain stands, not always in front of me, but inside me. I used to think obstacles were external. Circumstances, people, closed paths. But now I see that some of the greatest barriers are formed in the unseen places of my own heart. They are built from old disappointments, repeated delays, and memories of prayers that seemed unanswered. They rise slowly, shaping how I expect, how I hope, how I respond. And before I realize it, they begin to define what I believe is possible. God, I confess that I have allowed these inner mountains to speak louder than your promises. I have told myself to be realistic when you were inviting me to be faithful. I have lowered expectations to protect myself from hurt. I have called it wisdom, but sometimes it was fear in disguise. Fear of hoping again. Fear of trusting too deeply. Fear of believing that change is still possible for me. Yet something is shifting now. Not because the mountain has disappeared, but because I am no longer facing it alone. I feel you standing with me, not asking me to climb it by my own strength, but reminding me that you are greater than anything that rises against me. You do not look at obstacles the way I do. You do not measure difficulty by size or duration. You speak, and what once seemed immovable begins to lose its authority. I realize now that faith does not begin with what changes around me. It begins with what changes within me. The moment I stop agreeing with fear, the moment I stop rehearsing defeat, the moment I stop letting past pain dictate future hope, this is where the mountain starts to move, not because it crumbles outwardly yet, but because its grip on my heart begins to loosen. Lord, teach me how to confront these inner barriers with truth. When doubt whispers that nothing will change, remind me that you are not bound by patterns or history. When discouragement tells me to stay guarded, remind me that you are trustworthy even when outcomes are uncertain. When my thoughts replay worst-case scenarios, interrupt them with the assurance of your presence. I need you to reshape not just my circumstances, but my perspective. I bring you every belief that has limited my faith, every assumption that says I have reached my ceiling, every lie that tells me I have already seen the best days I will ever have. I surrender them now. I do not want to build my life on fear-informed expectations. I want to stand on the truth of who you are. You are not intimidated by obstacles. You are not discouraged by resistance. You are not weakened by delay. You are constant, steady, and powerful beyond measure. As I stand here, I feel courage beginning to rise, not loud or dramatic, but steady, a courage that does not deny fear, but refuses to let it rule, a courage that chooses trust even when emotions hesitate, a courage that believes obedience matters more than certainty. This is not the courage of confidence in myself. It is the courage of confidence in you. I am learning that mountains do not move because I feel brave. They move because I stay aligned with you. They lose power when I stop feeding them with fear and start facing them with faith. And even if the external situation remains unchanged for now, something profound is happening inside me. I am no longer shrinking back. I am no longer defining myself by what stands in my way. I am beginning to see myself through your eyes, capable, held, and not alone. Let this inner shift continue. Let my heart grow stronger than the resistance it faces. Let my thoughts be renewed so that hope has room to breathe again. Let me stop speaking impossibility over my own life. Let me stop agreeing with limitation when you have spoken abundance. I want my inner world to reflect the truth of your sovereignty, not the echo of my fears. I know the mountain may still stand for a moment. I know the process may take time. But I also know the outcome is not determined by the size of the obstacle, but by the power of the one who walks with me. And you are with me. You have not left me to face this alone. You have not asked me to overcome in my own strength. You have asked me to trust. So I take another step forward, not because everything feels resolved, but because I am no longer paralyzed by what stands before me. I believe you are working. Even here. Even now. And as my heart continues to align with your truth, I trust that what once felt immovable will no longer define my journey. The mountain is losing its voice. Fear is losing its grip. Faith is finding its footing. And even before I see anything change around me, I feel change within me. That is enough to keep going. That is enough to hope again. That is enough to believe that nothing standing in my way is greater than the God who stands with me. Lord, now that faith is awakening again, now that the mountain within me has begun to lose its grip, I find myself facing another struggle, quieter, but sharper. It is the tension between your promises and my present reality. I hear your truth. I know what you have said over my life, but everywhere I turn, I am surrounded by what looks like contradiction. Doors still closed, prayers still unanswered, longings still unmet. It feels like everything around me is saying no, while you have asked me to keep saying yes. And this is where it gets hard, not in dramatic pain or crushing loss, but in the subtle erosion of belief. The slow, quiet wear of hope against the rough edge of disappointment. I want to believe, but the waiting has tested me. I want to trust, but the silence makes me question. And still, deep down, I hear you asking for my yes, not a performance, not a promise to be perfect, just my yes, my agreement with what you have spoken, even when nothing around me seems to support it. Father, it is easy to agree with you when the path is clear. It is easy to trust when signs confirm the promise. But what about now, when everything says otherwise? What about now, when the facts disagree with faith, when logic would have me let go, when time keeps moving but fulfillment has not arrived. This is where yes becomes an act of worship. This is where obedience speaks louder than comfort. This is where trust becomes deeper than emotion. So I say yes again, not because I understand, but because I believe you do. Not because I feel ready, but because you are enough. Not because I have seen the outcome, because I have seen your heart. My yes today is not naive. It is not based on the absence of resistance. It is a decision to remain in agreement with the truth. Even while everything around me tries to convince me otherwise. God, remind me that you never asked me to manufacture results, only to walk in step with you. Remind me that my yes holds weight, even when it is not followed by immediate fruit. That my surrender creates space for you to move. That my alignment with heaven's plans has the power to shift things on earth. Even when I do not see it yet, let my yes be stronger than my fear. Let it silence the voice that tells me to retreat. Let it echo louder than the lies that try to rewrite what you have already declared. I do not want to shape my beliefs based on outcomes. I want to shape my outlook based on who you are. Even if others laugh, even if no one else sees what I see, even if everything says not yet, I will still say yes. I will still agree with the God who has never failed. Lord, I bring you the places where I have silently said no without realizing it. The moments I hesitated to dream again. The doors I stopped knocking on. The prayers I no longer pray with expectation. I bring you the fears that led me to close myself off, afraid of being disappointed, afraid of being wrong, afraid of hoping too much. I lay all of that down and make room for a new yes. A simple, steady, surrendered yes. Help me keep saying yes when the wait gets long, when the delay feels like denial, when others move ahead and I feel forgotten. When it looks like nothing is changing, let my yes remain rooted, not in what I see, but in who I trust. Let it be the quiet echo of faith that refuses to give up. Let it be a daily agreement, not just a one-time prayer. You do not need my perfection. You just desire my partnership. My willingness to believe you when it costs me comfort. My decision to align even when it stretches my understanding. My heart open wide when logic would rather shut down. This yes is not about being certain of every detail. It is about being certain of you. And that is enough for today. God, I believe that every time I say yes to you, something shifts even if I do not feel it right away. I believe that the unseen realm hears and responds when I align myself with heaven. I believe that my agreement with your voice has the power to cancel agreements I have made with fear, doubt, or resignation. So I speak a fresh yes over my life, over the calling I have tried to downplay, over the relationships I have been afraid to trust again, over the prayers that have felt too vulnerable to voice. I say yes to becoming all you have created me to be, even if the process feels messy. I say yes to the stretching, the refining, the deep work you are doing inside me. I say yes to healing where I have been hiding, to showing up when it would be easier to withdraw, to trusting your timing instead of forcing my own, to surrendering outcomes while still expecting good things. I say yes to being led by peace and not pressure, to standing firm even when I feel shaky, to walking forward even when I see only one step at a time. Let my yes carry weight in heaven. Let it be the sound that interrupts discouragement. Let it be the declaration that unlocks joy where despair once lived. Let it be the agreement that aligns my life with purpose, even in seasons of delay. I do not have to see the whole story to say yes to the next page. I do not have to know how it ends to keep turning toward you. And when I feel unsure again, because I will remind me of this moment, this quiet surrender, this holy decision, this sacred resolve to trust you more than my fears. Let my yes become a rhythm, a habit, a lifestyle, one that does not depend on signs or certainty, but rests in the knowledge that you are always good, always present, always faithful. I may not know when the answers will come, but I know who I am saying yes to, and that alone is enough to keep saying it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, one yes at a time, until what you have promised becomes what I am living. Father, I have said yes to you again, even when the circumstances do not make sense, even when my surroundings still echo with silence. And now I feel you leading me somewhere even deeper, not just into agreement, but into surrender, a place where trust is not based on what I see, but who you are, a place where I stop trying to trace every line and start simply letting go. This is not easy for me. I have always found comfort in clarity. I like to know what is coming next. I have spent so much of my life trying to anticipate outcomes, prepare for impact, guard myself against surprises. Even my prayers have sometimes become requests for maps. I ask you for direction, but often what I really want is control. I want to see, to plan, to predict, but you are asking me to walk in a different rhythm now. A rhythm not defined by sight, but by surrender. And so I stand here, God, holding the tension between what I can see and what you have spoken. I do not have a blueprint. I do not have the next 5 steps. I barely have the next one, but I have you. And you are not asking me to navigate the unknown alone. You are not pushing me ahead while watching from a distance. You are inviting me into a closeness that only comes when I stop leaning on my understanding and start trusting you to guide my every step. This kind of trust does not come naturally. It requires me to release the urge to make sense of everything, to stop treating mystery as something to fear, to let go of my need for constant reassurance. It is one thing to believe in you when the path is visible. It is another to believe when the fog does not lift. But you are the same God in both places, the same faithful one, whether I walk with clear vision or closed eyes. Lord, teach me to move with you in the dark. Teach me to rest in the places where you do not answer right away. Teach me to follow the sound of your voice when I cannot trace the shape of the path. Let my faith grow stronger not in the presence of signs, but in the absence of them. Let surrender become more than a posture. It must become my lifestyle. A quiet, holy letting go that happens not once, but again and again. I surrender my timelines, the ones I have tried to manage and measure. I surrender the pressure to have it all figured out. I surrender the weight of outcomes I was never meant to carry. I surrender the desire to be certain before I move. I surrender the part of me that believes progress can only be measured by visibility. I surrender the fear that silence means absence, or delay means denial. This is not a passive giving up. It is an active yielding, a confident resting, a faith that says, I do not have to see it to believe you are doing something. I choose to believe that you are working behind the curtain of what I can't see, that your hand is moving where my eyes cannot follow, that you are setting things in motion even while I wait in stillness. And that surrender is not the absence of strength, but the truest expression of it. Help me release the urge to keep checking for signs. Help me resist the temptation to manipulate outcomes. Help me stay at peace even when the pieces do not come together on my timeline. I do not want to just believe in you. I want to trust you. I want to lean into you with the kind of trust that does not flinch when things feel uncertain. The kind of trust that does not panic when answers take longer than expected. The kind that walks forward without needing constant confirmation. Let this surrender shape me. Let it soften what has been hardened by fear. Let it stretch my heart to hold more grace. Let it silence the inner dialogue that says I have to perform, achieve, or prove myself to be worthy of your presence. I do not have to earn your guidance. I do not have to beg for your attention. You are already here. You have been waiting not for my perfection, but for my permission to lead. And I give it now. I choose to trust that what I cannot see is still held by you, that what I do not understand is still covered in your goodness, that the space between where I am and where I hope to be is filled with your presence. Not abandonment, that even when I feel unqualified, you have already declared me chosen, and that even if I do not know what is next, you do. And you will not leave me guessing just to see how long I will endure. You will guide me faithfully, patiently, gently. So I stop striving. I stop rehearsing worst-case scenarios. I stop demanding signs as proof of your love. And I start trusting you in a deeper way. I start listening instead of explaining. I start following instead of fixing. I start surrendering instead of overthinking. And even though this walk may be slower, quieter, less certain from the outside, I know it is more secure because it is anchored in you, God. I do not need all the answers. I just need to know you are leading. I do not need to see the whole road. I just need to take the next step with you. And in this moment, I can, not because I have become fearless, but because I have become more willing to release. My vision may be limited, but my surrender is not, and that is enough. This is not about me achieving something. It is about becoming someone who trusts you more than my senses. Someone who builds my life not on what is seen, but on what is true. Someone who keeps moving, not because the way is clear, but because you are faithful. I choose that kind of trust. I choose that kind of surrender, and I know you will meet me in it every time. Father, now that I have chosen to surrender what I cannot see, now that I have laid down the constant need for certainty, I find myself sitting quietly in the space I used to rush through the space between your promise and its fulfillment. I am learning how to wait, how to walk slowly, how to be faithful without visible reward. And yet, Even in this new posture of trust, there is still the H of time. Waiting stretches me, even with surrender, even with faith, even with a yes in my heart. The passing of time still speaks. It tells me stories of all the things that have not happened yet. It draws attention to everything that still feels unfinished, unfulfilled, unanswered. And though I try to silence the questions, they still rise. Did I hear you right? Have I missed something? Has the window closed? Will the delay turn into denial? God, I know in my soul that your ways are higher, that your timing is perfect, but my humanity wrestles with the in-between. I want to celebrate process, but I miss completion. I want to be patient, but some days feel painfully long. I want to keep believing, but silence sometimes sounds like forgetfulness. I know better in my spirit, but my emotions still need reminding that delay does not mean rejection. That slowness does not mean stillness. That waiting is not a passive punishment, but a divine pause filled with purpose. So today, I bring you the space where heaven feels quiet. I bring you the gap between what I know you can do and what I see in front of me. I bring you my awareness with waiting, not to demand answers, but to ask for perspective. Show me again that you are not behind schedule. Remind me that you are not hurried by time and not limited by the clocks I build in my head. You see farther than I do. You know what I do not. You are preparing things I cannot yet understand, aligning details I am not even aware of, protecting me from things I never saw coming. If you are delaying, it is not because you forgot. It is because you are doing something in the delay that matters just as much as the breakthrough I am longing for. Let me not resent the slowness, but find you in it. Teach me to see delay not as a wall, but as a doorway that has not been opened yet. Let me stand in front of it with reverence, not resistance. Let me wait not with frustration, but with holy expectation. Let me remember that many of your greatest works began with silence, with long stretches of time where nothing seemed to move until suddenly. Everything did help me shift my focus, not on how much longer, but on how much deeper you are drawing me, not on what has not come, but on what is growing inside me while I wait. Maybe the breakthrough is not just coming to me, maybe is being built within me. Maybe the delay is refining my character, stretching my trust, teaching me endurance, softening my heart. And maybe that work is even more important than what I am waiting for. Lord, when impatience starts to grow louder than peace, quiet me with your presence. When I begin to measure my worth by the speed of progress, remind me that I am already fully loved. When I compare my timing to someone else's journey, bring my eyes back to you. You are not holding out on me. You are holding me through a process that only you fully understand. I choose to believe again today that you are faithful in delay, that you are present in pause, that you are still working when nothing seems to move. I will not let time rob me of wonder. I will not let silence steal my expectation. I will not let what I do not see convince me that you are not near. Let this be the place where I anchor, not drift. Let this be the hour where I press in, not pull away. Let this be the moment I choose hope, not resignation. Delay is not denial. It is the space where deeper roots are formed, where quiet trust is cultivated, where the soil of my life is prepared to carry what you are bringing. And if today is not the day that things shift, let it still be the day I remain. Let it be the day I hold on to what you have said, even if I do not know when I will see it. Let it be the day I honor the process more than I resent it. Let it be the day I rest in knowing that you are never late, not ever. You do not operate on the same clocks I do. You are not pressured by deadlines. You do not panic when things take longer. What feels late to me might be on time in your plan. What feels slow to me might be the very rhythm of your grace, and what seems silent to me may be the sacred stillness before something new begins. So I breathe again. I let go of the calendar I have created. I release the schedule I have written in my mind. I unclench my hands from the timeline I have tried to control, and I choose instead to live in the unfolding, to stay present in the becoming, to rest in the knowledge that you are not only preparing what I have asked for, but preparing me for it too. Even if I have to wait longer, even if the answer looks different than what I imagined, even if the path curves in unexpected ways, I will not lose heart. I will not harden. I will not close myself off to hope. I will stay soft. I will stay open. I will stay willing to believe that heaven's timing is not behind it is exact. And if all I can do today is whisper, I still trust you, then let that whisper be enough. Let it be the thread that holds me steady. Let it be the bridge between the silence and the promise. Let it be the sound that reminds me you are still writing. Even when I am tempted to close the chapter early, delay may stretch me, but it will not break me, because you are the one holding time, and you are also holding me, God, as I settle into the truth that your timing is never off. Something unexpected begins to stir in me, not loud, not bursting in, but gentle, like light pushing through curtains at dawn. It is joy, and it surprises me, because nothing around me has drastically changed. The door has not opened. The answer has not arrived. The situation still rests in delay. And yet, in the middle of this waiting room, I feel joy rise not because of an outcome, but because of your presence. For so long, I believed joy was something I had to earn or chase. I thought it only came after the breakthrough, after the resolution, after the thing I longed for finally became mine. But you are showing me that joy does not wait for circumstances to be perfect. Joy is not reserved for the end of the story. It is woven into the middle of the mess, available to me here, now, even before anything looks different. Father, I confess I have often tied my joy to outcomes. I told myself I would rejoice when things got better, when the prayer was answered, when the season shifted. I did not know I was allowed to celebrate in the middle. I did not know I could smile in the silence. I did not know that joy could be planted deep enough to survive disappointment and delay. But now I do, because you are showing me that joy does not come from what I hold in my hands. It comes from who holds me. And you hold me, even here, even on days when everything feels slow, even in moments when hope is quieter than usual, even when my emotions have not caught up to the truth. I know you are with me, And you are not somber or sullen about this weight. You are not pacing in frustration or wringing your hands in worry. You are steady, peaceful, joyful, because you know what is ahead, and you know who I am becoming on the way there. God, I want to mirror your joy. I want to live with a heart that does not withhold celebration until it has a reason. I want to laugh again, not because life is easy, but because grace is still here. I want to smile, not from comfort, but from connection. I want joy to be the melody that runs under everything else. Even in the days that feel heavy, let my joy be rooted in truth, not timing. Let it grow from my nearness to you, not the nearness of resolution. Remind me that joy is not a denial of reality. It is a declaration that you are greater than it. It is a rebellion against hopelessness, a holy defiance against despair. A quiet, steady flame that says, God is still good, even here. And I need that kind of flame now. I need it to warm the places in me that have grown cold from delay. I need it to light the corners of my heart that have sat too long in shadows. I need it to wake up parts of me that forgot joy was even possible in the waiting. Let today be the day joy finds me where I am not where I wish I was. Let it meet me in the ordinary, in the dishes, in the drive, in the slow mornings and quiet nights. Let it show up not as a burst, but as a steady presence, a lightness that does not demand explanation, a gladness that does not require perfection. Let it become familiar again, not as a visitor, but as a friend. I have carried sorrow. I have made space for lament. I have honored the weight of grief, of uncertainty, of longing, and all of that was real. All of it mattered. But today, I also make space for joy, not to erase the struggle, but to remind my soul that I am not stuck in it, that there is more to this journey than endurance. There is beauty. Even here, there is laughter. Even now, there is joy, because you are with me. Let that truth move from my mind to my spirit. Let it affect how I see things. Let it soften how I speak to myself. Let it shift how I walk through today. I do not want to live like joy is always just around the corner. I want to welcome it at the door, in whatever form it comes, whether it is a quiet moment of peace, a sudden burst of gratitude, or the realization that I smiled without thinking. That too is holy. Joy may not be loud today. It may not dance or sing or shout, but it is real. It is alive. And it is mine, not because of my circumstances, but because of who you are in them. You are my joy, my strength, my song in the wilderness. And as long as I have you, I have a reason to rejoice, even if everything else is still unfolding. So I breathe in joy, not forced, not fabricated, but found in your nearness, found in knowing I am not forgotten, found in the quiet miracle of being loved through every season. I let joy rise, not as an escape from reality, but as a sacred response to grace, a reminder that even in the waiting, even in the not yet, there is still goodness to be seen. There is still reason to lift my eyes. There is still beauty being written in the margins of my unanswered prayers. Father, let joy be the lens I carry into today. Let it color how I speak to others. Let it flavor how I move through the tasks before me. Let it be the undercurrent beneath the waves. Let it ground me when thoughts spiral. Let it lift me when emotions dip. Let it flow from you through me, a quiet evidence that even when life does not change, I do not want to postpone celebration until everything looks the way I hoped. I want to practice it now, in the becoming, in the stretching, in the mystery, because you are here, and where you are, joy has permission to dwell. This is not joy based on outcomes. It is joy rooted in presence, in the God who never leaves, in the promise that has not expired, in the love that has never wavered, and in that joy I choose to stand, to walk, to live one step at a time, one breath at a time, one grace-soaked moment at a time. Lord, as joy begins to find its way back into my soul, not by chance, but by choice, I notice something else awakening alongside it. It is subtle, but strong. It is not loud like breakthrough or overwhelming like sorrow. It is quiet, still, steady. It is peace, and like joy, it is not waiting for the storm to pass. It is arriving right here, in the middle of the unknown, in the silence of waiting, in the noise of my thoughts. I did not expect peace to find me like this, not after all the questions, not after all the delays, but you never wait for perfect moments to give what is perfectly yours. This peace does not explain everything. It does not cancel the mystery or erase the tension, but it settles deep inside me, where fear used to make its home. It whispers that I do not have to understand to rest, that I do not have to be certain to be calm, that I do not have to see the whole picture to be held. You are not asking me to figure it all out. You are inviting me to be still in the knowing that you already have. Father, I have chased peace in the past like it was something external. I have tried to find it in outcomes, in progress, in the absence of problems. But I see now that peace was never meant to come from what surrounds me. It flows from what holds me, and I am held by you, not loosely, not conditionally, but completely. Even when everything feels fragile, you are firm. Even when I feel unsteady, you are unshaken. There are storms that still swirl around me, open-ended prayers, unfolding stories, unfinished healing, unseen provision. I have not escaped the tension. I am simply no longer ruled by it. I have stopped trying to command the wind. I have stopped demanding the waves disappear. I have stopped asking the rain to justify itself. I am learning instead to sit with you in the boat, even while the waves still rise. I am learning that peace is not found in the absence of the storm, but in the presence of the one who is greater than it. Lord, I used to wait for calm before breathing deeply. I used to postpone rest until the outcome looked safe. But now, even with questions unanswered, I breathe in your peace. I let it find the spaces inside me where anxiety used to shout. I let it move through the cracks of all the places I have tried to hold together on my own. I let it fill the quiet corners where doubt once echoed. Not because the situation is finished, but because you are present. Your peace is not a fragile promise. It is a force stronger than the fears I have carried, stronger than the pressure I have placed on myself, stronger than the weight of unknowns that used to keep me up at night. Your peace is not passive. It is not something I stumble into by accident. It is intentional. It is active. It meets me not just in comfort, but in chaos. And it anchors me, not by ignoring the waves, but by reminding me that you are the one who walks on them. I receive that peace now. Not the kind the world offers, not the fleeting kind tied to perfect timing or easy answers, but your kind, the peace that surpasses understanding, the peace that guards hearts and minds, the peace that holds even when things fall apart. It is not shallow. It does not require performance. It just requires presence. And I am here, with you, fully, honestly, quietly here. Teach me how to live from that peace, not just visit it, not just long for it. Let it shape how I speak. Let it guide how I respond. Let it influence how I think, how I wait, how I move through the slow, uncertain, sacred parts of life. Let it be the lens through which I view this season, not as punishment, not as delay, but as holy ground where I am being formed, steadied, and held. Let your peace be what I carry into every room, every conversation, every unanswered moment. Let it slow my breath when the pressure rises. Let it soften my tone when frustration tries to take over. Let it stand guard over my mind when worry knocks again. I do not want to live reactive. I want to live rooted in the truth that nothing can take from me what you have freely given, peace that holds, not because of what is around me, but because of who is within me. Lord, I know storms will still come. Life will still press in. People will still disappoint. Plans will still shift. But let this be the chapter where I stop looking for external conditions to dictate internal wellness. Let this be the place where I grow anchored enough to remain calm in the chaos. Not cold, not detached, just secure, steady, softened by trust, strengthened by grace. I choose today to walk in peace even when the path is uncertain, to respond with peace even when emotions flare, to wait in peace even when the timeline stretches longer than I hoped. I choose not to be moved by every wave, not to panic when the sky darkens, not to question the journey just because it feels longer than expected. I am learning to stay centered, not by denying the storm, but by remembering who sits beside me in it. You are not distant. You are not worried. You are not unprepared. You are peace itself. And when I remain near you, that peace becomes mine not temporarily, but continually. Not once, but daily, breath by breath, step by step, thought by thought. Let it become my new normal. Let it become the culture of my inner world. Let it become the strength I carry into every weakness. Let it become the rhythm of how I live, not chasing stillness, but living still. This is what I long for, God, not a perfect life, but a peaceful heart, one that remains calm in the storm, one that knows how to rest without everything being resolved. one that carries the assurance of your presence like a secret weapon against chaos. And if peace is a person, then I choose to stay close to you, because where you are, peace stays. Peace breathes. Peace reigns. Even here, even now, even in the middle of everything unfinished. Lord, as your peace settles into the parts of me that once flinched at every change in the wind, I begin to realize something deeper. Peace is not just a place of stillness, it is also the ground from which strength begins to rise. Not the kind of strength that shouts or demands attention, but a quiet resilience, forged not in certainty but in continued trust. I feel it growing beneath the surface, and with it, the understanding that you are not just preparing me to arrive somewhere. You are strengthening me for the journey itself. So often, I have focused my prayers on outcomes. I have asked for the miracle, the open door, the breakthrough at the finish line. And yet, you are shifting my attention to the miles in between. You are teaching me that the strength I need is not just for when I finally get there, but for the steps I am taking now, for the long, slow middle, for the days when nothing feels spectacular, but everything is sacred, because I am still moving forward. Father, I do not want to be someone who only knows how to believe for the mountaintop. I want to be someone who learns how to walk through the valley with grace, with endurance, with strength that does not depend on adrenaline, but is rooted in your sustaining presence. Give me that kind of strength, the kind that shows up again when no one else sees, the kind that remains faithful when no one is cheering, the kind that quietly keeps going because you are walking beside me. I bring you my awareness, not as a sign of failure, but as evidence of my willingness to continue. I have come this far not by my own ability, but by your grace, and I know I will need more of it tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. I do not need you to make the road shorter. I need you to make me stronger for it. I do not ask you to erase the weight. I ask you to teach me how to carry it differently. Not alone, not in fear, but with you, always with you. God, remind me that strength does not always feel like fire. Sometimes it feels like breath, like choosing not to give up today, like trusting even while trembling, like standing when sitting would be easier, like taking the next step when I do not know how many more will follow. Let me not underestimate the holiness of perseverance. Let me not discount the courage it takes to simply keep going. Strength is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is choosing not to speak when I am misunderstood. Sometimes it is extending grace when I am running low on it. Sometimes it is showing up for others when I feel unseen myself. And sometimes, strength is just getting out of bed, praying one more time, believing one more day, surrendering again what I already surrendered yesterday. This is the strength I ask for now, the strength that lives in the day-to-day faithfulness of a heart that refuses to quit. Let me draw that strength from you. Let it not be a pressure I put on myself, but a posture of leaning on you more deeply. I do not want to muster it up through effort. I want it to flow through dependence, through resting in your ability, not mine. Through knowing that you never called me to carry more than you were willing to carry with me. I do not have to be a hero. I do not have to be the strongest person in the room. I just have to be willing. And that I am, Lord. You promise that those who wait on you will renew their strength, not because they figured it all out, because they leaned on the one who never grows weary. You said they will run and not grow tired, walk and not faint. And here I am waiting on you again. Not passively, but actively choosing to depend, to trust, to breathe in the strength that only you can provide. My strength is not found in speed. It is found in surrender. And if I falter, if I feel weak again tomorrow, if I lose momentum or break rhythm or question whether I am making any progress at all, then I will remember this. Strength is not measured by my perfection, but by my return, my willingness to come back to you, to be refilled, to be reminded, to be rebuilt in the places where life has drained me. You are not asking for constant motion. You are asking for constant connection. That is where strength is born. Help me to see that every stretch of this journey matters. Not just the highlights, but the quiet middle chapters. Not just the destination, but the formation. Let me learn to love the process of becoming. Let me find purpose in the persistence. Let me value progress that does not always look impressive, but is deeply transformative. Because you are not just leading me somewhere. You are shaping someone in me along the way. God. I do not want to wait for the finish to feel strong. I want to learn how to be strong now, in the middle. I want to draw on a strength that does not disappear when results are slow or applause is absent. I want to be the kind of person who walks with quiet resilience, not because life is easy, but because I walk with you and you never run out of what I need. Let this strength become my rhythm. Let it influence how I move, how I wait, how I respond. Let it turn frustration into focus. Let it turn fatigue into reliance. Let it turn restlessness into perseverance. I do not want to just survive this journey. I want to walk it with grace, with calm determination, with deep roots and lifted eyes. Father, if today looks like one more mile without a visible shift, let me walk it with strength that flows from knowing you are near. Let me not dread the distance, but embrace it as the place where I grow. Let my weakness not embarrass me, but draw me into deeper intimacy with you. And when the journey feels long again, remind me that the finish is not the only place where you meet me. You meet me here, now, in this step, in this breath, in this small, holy yes to keep going. And that, I know, is more than enough. Father, now that I have embraced the truth that strength is not just for the finish line, but for every step of the journey, I find myself face to face with something I can no longer avoid. It is not fear exactly, not the loud kind that paralyzes. It is quieter, more subtle, harder to name. It is the lingering sense of the unknown, of all the questions I still can't answer, of the paths not yet revealed, of the outcomes I can predict or control. There is a part of me that wants to press forward with confidence, and yet another part that hesitates, not because I do not believe in you, but because I have been here before. I have walked into seasons where the road disappeared beneath my feet. I have stepped into rooms that felt full of light, only to be met with shadow. I have had plans that looked sure fall apart overnight, and all of those moments have left a mark. Not scars of bitterness, but reminders of how fragile certainty can be. Lord, I bring those reminders to you now. I do not want them to harden me. I do not want past confusion to shape future trust. I want to trust you here, again, even in what I can see, even when nothing is clear but your voice, even when everything in me wants the map. The guarantee, the clear outline of what is next. I want to learn to live in peace with not knowing, because you already do. I know you are not obligated to reveal every step in advance. And if I am honest, I know that even if you did, I might still try to rewrite it. So I lay that desire down, the urge to know it all before I move. I lay down the obsession with safety, the craving for control, the pressure I put on myself to have answers for every what, if. You never asked me to carry that weight. You asked me to carry faith. God, it is easy to trust you in hindsight. It is easier still to trust you in theory. But here in this stretch of silence, this where details are missing and decisions loom, it is a different kind of surrender, one that does not come wrapped in emotion, but in a quiet, deliberate choice, a decision to believe that you are still who you say you are. Even when I do not know what comes next, I do not need to see the road ahead to move forward with you. I just need to stay near, close enough to hear your whisper, close enough to catch the subtle shifts, close enough that even when you do not answer my questions, I can still sense your presence. You are the God who leads by peace, not pressure, by presence, not panic, and you have never led me astray when uncertainty rises like fog and clouds the horizon. Let me remember that clarity is not the only evidence of your hand. Sometimes peace is, sometimes stillness is, sometimes the very lack of clarity is where faith is formed, not because I understand, but because I lean anyway. Because I believe you are already in my tomorrow, already making crooked places straight, already preparing what I can yet see. So I choose today to trust you with the unknowns, the outcomes that feel beyond reach, the details I have tried to control, the people I can fix, the situations I can predict. I release them not because they are resolved, but because you are good. I release them not because I am indifferent, but because I am learning the freedom of resting in a God who sees what I do not. Let my confidence come not from the information I gather, but from the intimacy I maintain with you. Let the absence of answers become an invitation to lean in closer, not pull away. Let me walk forward not because the path is well lit, but because your hand is steady in mine. I do not need to know the ending to trust the author. And Lord, if I am being honest, part of what makes the unknown so difficult is the fear that I will make the wrong choice, that I will miss it, that I will somehow walk past what you had for me. But you remind me that you are not fragile. Your plans are not weak. You are not limited by my hesitation or derailed by my learning curve. You are bigger than my mistakes and kinder than my fears. You know how to redirect. You know how to restore. and you never leave me to figure it all out alone. You do not shame me when I am unsure. You do not rush me when I am wrestling. You just keep showing up. Patient, gentle, steady, inviting me to trust, not because the road is familiar, but because your heart is, and your heart is safe. Always safe. Let that truth be louder than the unknown. Let it quiet the noise in my mind, the questions that circle without end. Let it remind me that faith is not foolishness. It is not recklessness. It is not denial. It is a deep trust in the one who is faithful, even when the future is not yet visible. So I make peace with not knowing. I stop trying to force answers you have not given. I stop rehearsing outcomes you have not written. I stop panicking over timelines you have not rushed. Instead, I root myself in the truth of who you are, unchanging, unshaken, unfailing. And in that place, I find rest, I find calm, I find enough to take the next step. Lord, you did not promise clarity, but you promised presence. You did not promise immunity from uncertainty, but you promised wisdom for every moment it arises. And you did not promise perfection in my process, but you promised grace enough for the gaps. So here I am again, open, willing, surrendered. I do not have it all figured out. I never will. But I do have you. And that is enough. Enough to release what I can't control. Enough to stay faithful even when I am unsure. Enough to trust that even my unknowns are fully known to you. If I stumble, you will catch me. If I hesitate, you will wait with me. If I cry, you will comfort. If I go quiet, you will stay near. There is no unknown too dark for your light, no confusion too deep for your wisdom, no fear too big for your peace. So I choose again not to be fearless, but to be trusting, not to be perfect, but to be present, not to control, but to follow. Because in the middle of all that I still do not know, one thing remains certain: you are with me, and you are enough. Father, as I sit here with my heart wide open, having placed every unknown into your capable hands, I notice a quieter voice lingering underneath my surrender. It is not as loud as fear, and it does not sound like doubt at first. But when I listen closely, I realize what it really is: unworthiness. Not about who you are, but about who I think I am. Because even though I have said yes to trusting you, there are still moments when I wonder if I am worthy of the promises you have spoken over me. God, I know in my mind that you are gracious, that you do not operate on a system of performance or perfection. But sometimes my heart takes longer to believe it, especially when the weight drags on, especially when I see my flaws more clearly than my growth, especially when I measure myself against the version of me I thought you would bless, the version who never struggles, never hesitates, never stumbles. But that version does not exist, and you never asked me to become someone else in order to receive what you have for me. Still, there is a place in me that whispers, maybe it has not come because you are not enough yet. Maybe God is still waiting for you to be better, more disciplined, more spiritual, more obedient, more deserving. And Lord, I confess, that voice wears me down, because I have tried to be all those things. I have tried to perfect myself into promise. I have tried to earn what can only be received, and all it has done is exhaust me and distance me from the very grace that is supposed to carry me. So I bring you this too. I bring you every internal disqualification I have made, every time I have counted myself out, every moment I have replayed past mistakes like they were the evidence for delay, every time I have assumed your silence was punishment or your patience was frustration. I bring it all because I can carry this shame and walk forward in freedom at the same time. Lord, remind me again that you do not bless me based on merit. You bless me because it is who you are. You do not call the flawless. You call the willing. You do not move through perfect vessels. You move through surrendered ones. You never ask me to clean myself up before I come close. You just asked me to come close. If your promises depended on me having it all together, they would unraveled a long time ago. But they are rooted in you, in your character, not my performance, in your consistency, not my effort, in your faithfulness, not my perfection. And that is why I can rest, even when I do not feel worthy, because you have already decided I am. Not because I have earned it, but because you have called me your child, not because I have proven anything, but because you have placed your name on me, not because I always get it right, but because you never stop being right here. That is grace. That is the foundation I want to live from. Not striving, but receiving. Not hustling, but trusting. Not doubting who I am, but remembering whose I am. Help me speak to the voice of unworthiness when it comes again. Help me replace it with truth, not shallow affirmation, but the deep truth that I am chosen, I am seen. I am loved with a love that does not flinch at my weakness. Let that truth be louder than comparison. Let it be stronger than insecurity. Let it become the narrative that shapes how I show up to my own life, not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. Because the truth is, none of us are worthy in the way the world defines it. But in you, I am called, I am covered, I am qualified not because of my resume, but because of your redemption. I am not perfect, but I am positioned. I may be limping, but I am still moving. I may be learning, but I am still loved. And you do not revoke your promises every time I fall short. You restore. You rebuild. You remind. So when I feel like I have failed too many times, help me remember that failure is not final in your kingdom. When I feel like I am too messy to be used, remind me that you have always used the broken. When I feel like I have waited too long to see the promise fulfilled, let me remember that delay has never canceled your plans. And when I question whether I am still eligible for the goodness you have spoken, remind me that your grace has already settled that question. You do not hold back based on my missteps. You lead me gently back into alignment. You do not shame me into silence. You invite me into communion. You do not withhold because of weakness. You pour out in the very places I have tried to hide. That is who you are, a father who lifts my chin when I hang my head, a shepherd who finds me when I wander, a king who still chooses me, even when I have doubted the crown. So I will keep showing up, not with perfect faith, but with honest faith, not with flawless confidence, but with the kind of courage that chooses to believe, even when it does not feel natural. I will keep showing up to the promise you have spoken. I will keep walking toward the future you have painted over my life, not because I feel worthy every moment, but because I know you are trustworthy every moment. Let that be the foundation I build on. Not fear, not striving, not shame, but trust. Let my confidence come not from how well I perform, but from how well you keep your word. Let me receive what you give not with guilt, but with gratitude. Let me celebrate when the promise comes, not with hesitation, but with full assurance that I was always loved. Always included, always part of the plan. Because if you call me worthy, then who am I to disagree? If you clothe me in grace, why should I wear guilt? If you invite me to the table, why would I stand outside? I choose to sit, to stay, to believe I belong, not because of who I have been, but because of who you are, and you do not change. So I rest here today, not because everything is finished, but because I am finished striving for what you have already called mine. I walk in the promise, not as a stranger, but as a child, not as a burden, but as one beloved, not as one trying to prove myself, but as one already proven by the cross. And from that place, I rise, I believe again. I move forward not to earn the promise, but to live into it with joy and with trust. Lord, after laying down the lie that I must be perfect to be chosen, I feel something shift inside me, a gentler posture, a steadier breath. I am no longer chasing worth. I am no longer trying to earn what you have already called mine. And yet, I sense you drawing me deeper still into the sacred space where faith does not just believe for the promise, it allows the promise to change me in the process. This is the part I have often resisted. I have prayed for outcomes, for breakthroughs, for the when, without always asking what you are doing in the who. But now, with every step I take, I am realizing you care just as much about who I am becoming as where I am going, maybe even more, because faith is not just a key to unlock the future, it is a chisel that shapes the soul. Father, I confess there are moments when I have been more interested in arriving than transforming. I have wanted to skip the process and fast forward to the reward. I have treated becoming like an inconvenience, something I must tolerate in order to get to the other side. But you do not rush me through the middle. You meet me here, and you teach me that the in-between is not empty. It is where you do your most intimate work. You are not just giving me something to hold. You are forming someone who can carry it well. I see now that every delay, every detour, every moment of silence was not wasted. You were working in places I did not even know needed healing. You were refining the parts of me that would not have been able to sustain the weight of the answer. You were not just moving around me, you were moving within me. And it is here, in this place of slow, steady becoming, that I realize the miracle is not only what happens to me, it is what you are doing in me. God, give me eyes to see the beauty of this becoming, not as punishment, not as proof that I have fallen behind, but as your mercy in motion. Help me release the version of myself I thought I had to be and embrace the one you are shaping me into. Help me recognize that growth is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it is in the quiet decisions, the unseen faithfulness, the repeated surrender when no one else is watching. Let me become someone whose heart does not shrink under pressure. Someone whose mind does not spiral in the unknown. Someone who does not just believe when it is easy, but continues to believe when it costs something. Let me become someone who loves more freely, forgives more quickly, and listens more closely to your voice than to my fears. This is the kind of faith I want, not just faith to receive, but faith to be remade. A faith that does not rush past discomfort, but walks through it with you. A faith that trusts not only for the destination, but in the goodness of the journey. A faith that knows every shaping season has value, even if it never makes headlines, even if no one applauds, even if the only one who sees it is you. Lord, I bring you every moment I have judged as small, every stretch of time I have labeled unproductive. I bring you the slow days, the uncertain weeks, the years that felt like wilderness. I place them back into your hands, not with regret, but with reverence, because in those hidden places, you are building something that no platform, no title, no blessing could ever give me. You are building depth. You are building character. You are building the kind of foundation that does not crumble when the pressure comes. Let me not despise these days of slow formation. Let me not crave the spotlight more than the secret place. Let me remember that you are more interested in who I am becoming than how fast I get there. You are not just preparing the promise for me. You are preparing me for the promise. So I say yes to this becoming. I say yes to the refining fire that does not burn me, but purifies me. I say yes to the pruning that does not destroy me, but strengthens me. I say yes to the waiting that is not passive, but productive in 1,000 invisible ways. I say yes to the stretching that makes room for more of you and less of me. I say yes to the silence that teaches me how to hear, to the stillness that teaches me how to stay, to the tension that teaches me how to trust. Let this faith go deeper than feelings. Let it be strong enough to hold me steady when the promise still feels far. Let it shape how I show up to my life, not hurried, not restless, but present and rooted in the knowledge that I am already in process. And that process is holy. Help me not to resist the mirror you hold up to my heart. Help me to see correction not as condemnation, but as compassion. Help me to recognize that conviction is a gift, not a rejection. You are not tearing me down. You are building me into someone who can sustain joy without fear of losing it. Someone who can walk in peace without needing proof. Someone who can carry blessing with humility and loss with grace. Father, even when I can feel it, even when I can measure it, I believe you are shaping something eternal in me. You are molding me for more than moments. You are preparing me for the weight of what you have called me to carry, not for my own glory, but for your kingdom, not for applause, but for impact, not to impress, but to serve, not to perform, but to love. So I do not just wait for the promise. I welcome the process. I embrace the fire, the stillness, the silence, the stretching, all of it. Because all of it is you. All of it is your hands forming something beautiful. Something lasting. Something holy. And I choose to trust that nothing you shape will be wasted. Not a tear, not a trial, not a delay, not a step. You are turning every part of this process into a story of becoming. And I will keep walking, believing, trusting, and letting the work you started in me continue until it shines with the reflection of who you are. Father, as I continue to walk through this journey of becoming, I see how deeply you care about the quiet places, the parts of me that never get applause, the parts that do not shine in front of others, the hidden places where no one sees the wrestle, the surrender, the slow transformation. And I am learning that it is there, in the silence and smallness, where you do your most faithful work. I used to think that growth would feel loud, visible, undeniable. I imagined breakthroughs coming with clarity and celebration. But instead, I have discovered that real formation often happens in the shadows when no one is watching, when the world seems to keep moving without me, when it feels like my life is moving slowly while others accelerate. And in that quiet, you whisper again, I am still here. Lord, I have always longed to be faithful, but sometimes I have misunderstood what that means. I thought it was about productivity. I thought it was about always knowing, always doing, always giving. But you are showing me that faithfulness is not performance, it is presence. It is showing up even when it is hard. It is choosing integrity even when no one's keeping score. It is trusting that the unseen work matters, maybe even more than what is seen. You are forming a different kind of strength in me, a strength that does not come from striving, but from staying in the process, staying rooted in truth, staying tender when it would be easier to shut down. And I see now that every quiet yes I have whispered, every decision I have made when no one was watching, every time I have chosen patience instead of panic, that was faithfulness. And it has never gone unnoticed by you, God. Thank you for being the one who sees in secret, when I feel invisible, when I wonder if my small efforts matter. When I am tempted to believe that nothing is changing, you remind me that you are the God who counts every seed. You do not despise the small. You do not overlook the faithful. You build legacy in the quiet. You form endurance in the mundane. You shape character in the repetition. Let me not rush through the hidden seasons. Let me not try to escape the places where no one sees. Let me find you there, again and again, because the quiet places are not empty, they are filled with your presence. They are sacred. They are holy ground. And in those places, you teach me how to hear, how to slow down, how to stop measuring my worth by the noise of the world and start measuring it by the nearness of your spirit. Teach me to be faithful in the conversations no one else hears, in how I speak to myself, in how I respond to doubt, in how I treat others when I am tired or hurting. Let me honor you in the small choices, in the repeated obediences, in the hidden sacrifices. Let me remember that greatness in your kingdom often looks like serving without spotlight, loving without return, praying without proof. I do not need a platform to live purposefully. I do not need recognition to remain obedient. I do not need instant results to stay the course. Faithfulness is its own reward. It reshapes me from the inside out. It deepens my roots so I can withstand the storms. It anchors me in truth so I do not drift when feelings change. And most of all, it draws me closer to you not just for what you do, but for who you are. Lord, when the silence stretches longer than expected, when the days blend together, when the progress feels invisible, help me keep showing up. Help me keep choosing what is right over what is easy. Help me keep believing that what you are building in secret will one day reveal fruit, not because I forced it, but because I stayed planted. You are not in a hurry, and I do not want to be either. I want to live at the pace of your presence, not the pressure of results. I want to build a life that lasts, not just a moment that looks impressive. And I know that starts with being faithful in what is in front of me today. So I ask for eyes to see the significance in the simple, the miracle in the mundane, the sacred in the slow. Let me not wait for some future season to bring my full self. Let me offer it now, in this moment, in these ordinary hours, because this too is holy. This too is part of the calling. This too is how heaven comes to earth through a heart that remains faithful when no one is looking. Let my yes in the secret place carry just as much weight as any public declaration. Let my unseen labor in love matter more than being noticed. Let my faithfulness not be dictated by emotion, but by devotion. Because you are worthy not just when life feels glorious, but when it feels repetitive. Not just when I feel strong, but when I feel unseen and unsure. You are not only the God of miracles, you are the God of Mondays, the God of commutes, the God of small conversations and routine prayers and quiet mornings where nothing seems dramatic, but everything is divine. You are in it all. And if you are in it, then so am I. Help me remain with joy. Let faithfulness not feel like a burden, but a gift, a way to walk in rhythm with your heart. Let it be the song I sing when there is no music. Let it be the offering I bring when I have nothing else to give. Let it be the legacy I leave not of fame or success, but of quiet, consistent love. I do not want to be famous. I want to be found faithful. So today, I rise not to chase results, but to return to what I know to be true. That you are here, that you are working, that you are forming me in the quiet places, and that is enough to keep going. That is enough to keep loving. That is enough to keep believing, not because the world sees me, but because you do. And to be seen by you is enough, always has been, always will be. God, as I remain in the quiet places with you, where faithfulness is shaped away from applause and becoming is slow and sacred, I begin to feel something rising again, something I had quietly set down along the way. It is not loud. It is not wrapped in excitement, but it pulses softly beneath the surface like the first light before dawn. It is hope. And though I had not realized it, I have missed it for a while. I was afraid to hope, afraid to pick it up again because of how much it hurt to carry when answers did not come. Hope once felt like risk, like reaching with open hands only to be left waiting. Again, I told myself I was just being realistic, just protecting my heart, but really I was guarding my soul from the H of disappointment. But you never asked me to protect myself from hope. You asked me to anchor myself in it. Father, hope is not naive. It is not fragile. It is not some shallow optimism or empty wish. Hope, when rooted in you, is the most defiant and courageous thing I can hold. Because hope says, even when night stretches long, even when prayers stretch thin, even when I can see how, or when you are still who you say you are, and you will finish what you started. There is something holy about hoping again. It means I am willing to trust your heart, even when my timeline has worn thin. It means I believe that darkness is not final, that waiting is not wasted, that you are not absent in the quiet, and you have not forgotten what you promised. God, I have learned that the greatest kind of hope is not tied to circumstances, it is tethered to your character. You are the unchanging one in the middle of everything changing. You are the steady light in seasons that dim. You are the whisper of dawn while the stars are still overhead. And even though I am still waiting in many ways, even though the fulfillment has not arrived, I choose again to hope not with clenched fists, but with open hands. Let my hope be strong enough to last the night. Let it not fade with emotion or weaken with time. Let it be like the oil in the lamps of the wise, steady, prepared, enduring. Hope is not a plan B. It is the thread I hold when everything else is unraveling. It is the sacred choice to keep expecting your goodness, even when I have not seen it yet. It is the audacity to keep lifting my eyes, even when the landscape has not changed. I ask, Lord, for a hope that lives beneath my doubts, one that does not require perfect conditions or constant reassurance. Let my hope not be a reaction, but a rooted conviction, one that is birthed in the depths, not the surface, one that outlasts every discouragement and weathers every delay. When the enemy tries to whisper that nothing will change, that it is too late, that I am too far behind, let hope rise louder. Let it speak of the unseen. Let it echo what you have said. Even when the world around me says otherwise, let it remind me that your silence is not absence, and your slowness is not indifference. You are still writing, still working, still weaving redemption into every waiting place. Help me to hope without a deadline, to believe without condition, to anticipate with joy even when the wait continues. And when the night feels long, when the silence feels louder than ever, remind me of who you are. Remind me of every promise you have kept. Remind me of every time you showed up after I thought it was too late. Remind me that you are not finished, and neither is my story. Hope is the song I want to sing while I wait, not a loud anthem, but a soft melody under my breath, a quiet declaration that I still believe, that I am still looking up, that I have not given up, even when I do not know how it will unfold, because you have never asked me to know how. You have only asked me to know you. Lord, let hope be the light in my hands today. Let it warm the cold places that disappointment tried to freeze. Let it remind my soul that you are bigger than the delay and kinder than the narrative fear tries to write. Let it anchor me in the truth that this story is not over just because it has slowed. I know now that hope does not remove the ache, but it transforms it. It lifts the weight. It brings oxygen into places that grew weary. It makes space for joy even in the tension. It allows laughter to exist alongside longing. It creates room for gratitude, even when answers are still in transit. So I walk forward with hope, not because I have seen everything, but because I have seen you, and you have never failed to be faithful. Never failed to show up in your own perfect time. Never failed to redeem what was broken. Never failed to make beauty from ashes. Never failed to restore what was lost in ways I did not expect but always needed. Let hope be my rhythm now. Let it guide how I speak, how I wait, how I pray. Let it be the lens through which I see others, believing for them when they can't believe for themselves. Let it be the posture I carry, not one of tension, but of trust. Let it be the gift I pass on, the fruit that grows even in the desert. And if I find myself faltering again, if the night grows dark and the promise feels distant, remind me again. Remind me of the light that never leaves. Remind me that morning always comes. Remind me that no darkness can undo the word you have spoken. Remind me that you are not pacing in worry, but seated in peace. So I will wait not with dread, but with hope. I will hope not in outcomes, but in the God who holds them. And I will walk not alone, but with you, because hope has hands, and they are open, and they are reaching toward heaven, even before heaven touches earth. Father, as hope rises again and stretches itself toward the light, I feel it anchoring me not only for the promise ahead, but for the present moment. It does not call me to escape where I am, it pulls me deeper into it. Because when hope is real, it does not just lift my eyes to what is coming. It also opens my heart to what is here. And here, in this place that once felt like delay or silence, I am beginning to notice something sacred. Something heavy, but holy. It is the weight of glory resting on every ordinary step. Lord, I did not always recognize it. I thought glory looked like mountaintops, breakthroughs, headlines, or shining testimonies that others would see. But I am seeing now that your glory often chooses quieter paths. It settles on the unnoticed. It lives in the middle of routine. It moves through daily obedience and silent surrender. And in this stretch of waiting, where I once only saw stillness, I am learning to see you. You are here in the steps I repeat without applause, in the choices I make when no one's watching, in the prayers I pray when no answers arrive, in the way I show up when I feel emptied out. That is where the weight of glory begins to press into my life, not to burden me, but to transform me. You are teaching me that glory is not just a destination. It is a presence. Yours, here, now, God. I do not want to miss the weight of what you are doing, because I am looking for flashes of lightning. Let me recognize your glory in the slow burn, in the work you are doing behind the curtain, in the forming of character, in the shaping of resilience, in the way you strengthen my spirit in places where no one else sees. Let every step I take today, even the most mundane, be filled with the awareness that you are walking beside me, and that alone changes everything. If your presence is here, then this moment is holy. If your hand is in it, then this season is not a detour, but part of the design. If your glory rests on it, then nothing is wasted, not even the small, silent steps. Father, help me shift my posture. Let me stop measuring significance by visibility. Let me stop assuming that slow means insignificant, or that hidden means unimportant. Let me stop reserving reverence only for the moments I can post or celebrate. Help me live reverently in the ordinary, because you do. Your Son walked among us not with fanfare, but with focus, not demanding thrones, but kneeling with towels, not shouting for attention, but listening in quiet homes, walking dusty roads, loving with steady hands. And if glory was found in those moments, then I know it is found here too in mine, in the hallway conversations, in the early morning routines, in the kind words spoken when it would be easier to stay silent, in the choice to serve when I feel unseen, in the resolve to love when it would be easier to close off. Let me not grow numb to these moments. Let me not sleepwalk through the sacred. Let me notice the miracle in the rhythm. Let me worship not just with song, but with presence, with attention, with wonder for the fact that you are still choosing to dwell with me, not just when I feel strong, but when I feel small. This is the glory you offer, not a burden to carry, but a beauty to walk in. And I carry it not to be crushed by it, but to reflect it, to reflect your heart in the way I keep choosing good when bitterness tempts me, to reflect your grace in the way I forgive when I could hold a grudge, to reflect your patience in the way I slow down when urgency presses in. This is what it means to carry glory, not just to speak of you, but to resemble you. And yet, God, sometimes this glory feels heavy. Sometimes, the faithfulness you ask of me feels like weight. I do not think I can carry another day. Not because it is too much, but because I forget that I was never meant to carry it alone. You did not ask me to be strong for you. You invited me to lean on you, to be a vessel, not a source, to walk with you, not ahead of you. And in that reminder, I breathe again. Let your strength rise in my weakness. Let your joy rise where I have been discouraged. Let your presence rise in the middle of my tiredness. I want to live aware of you, of what you are doing, of who I am becoming in your hands. Let me live like the ground I am walking on is holy, because you are with me in every step. God, I won't wait for grand moments to honor you. I choose to honor you here, in the quiet stretch of today. I offer my attention. I offer my intention. I offer my gratitude for the small, for the steady, for the unseen mercies that meet me with the sunrise. I welcome the weight of glory not for recognition, but for transformation. Transform me as I cook meals, answer emails, care for others, pause in traffic, hold space for someone's pain, sit with my own confusion. Let every action be soaked in your presence, every word infused with your spirit, every decision made with a listening ear. Let nothing be wasted when it is offered to you. Let this day not pass like a blur. Let me not miss the holy wrapped in the humble. Let me not postpone purpose, waiting for something grand. Let me trust that what I do with you becomes eternal, no matter how ordinary it looks to the world. So I walk, Lord, not to chase glory, but to carry it, not to impress, but to reflect, not to grasp, but to give, because I know now that every ordinary step holds eternal weight when it is taken with you. Let that truth carry me forward with reverence, with joy, and with the quiet strength of one who walks beneath the weight of your presence and finds it not heavy, but holy. Father, now that I see the sacredness in each ordinary step, now that I have begun to carry the weight of your glory, not as a burden, but as a gift, I find myself standing at the edge of another deep place, one that asks me to trust you, not with what I can do, but with what I can be, because even as I walk faithfully, love intentionally, and show up with my whole heart, there are still places in my life I cannot fix, people I cannot change, outcomes I cannot control, and I feel that tension rising in me like a tide I do not know how to stop. God, I bring you the places where I feel powerless, the relationships that ache with silence, misunderstanding, or distance, the wounds that linger beneath the surface of someone I love, the needs I can meet, the doors I can force open, the diagnoses I can heal, the choices others make that leave ripples in the waters of my own peace. And even when I know better, part of me still tries to fix it all by caring more, trying harder, explaining again, caring too much. But you never asked me to be the healer. You never asked me to be the answer. You asked me to trust that you already are. So here I am, learning what surrender really means. Not just surrendering my plans or timelines, but surrendering the belief that I must hold together what is already crumbling in my hands. I surrender the fear that if I stop trying, everything will fall apart. I surrender the guilt I carry for not being able to fix what was never mine to repair. Father, I trust you with what I cannot reach. I trust you with the stories unfolding in the hearts of others. I trust you with the deep places I will never be invited into, the private battles I may never see, the healing journeys that do not follow my script. I trust you with the silence that feels endless, and with the distance that stretches further than I expected. I trust you when I have said every right thing, loved the best I knew how, and still felt the sting of rejection or the sting of watching someone drift. Let me not confuse proximity with power. Let me not believe the lie that love only works when it controls. Let me not reduce care to fixing or confuse responsibility with overreach. Some things are sacred not because I understand them, but because I lay them at your feet. God, you see what I cannot. You know what I do not. You are working in ways I will never fully comprehend. Even when it looks still, even when it feels broken beyond repair, even when everything in me wants to do something, you invite me to trust instead of strive, to release instead of rush, to believe that you are holding what I cannot carry. I admit it is hard. It is hard to stand on the edge of someone else's pain and not throw myself into the deep It is hard to watch someone wander and not chase them into the storm. It is hard to hear silence and not fill it with 1,000 words. But you remind me that love is not always loud. That presence can be quiet. That prayer is not a last resort, it is the very first gift I can offer. So I pray instead of push. I bless instead of press. I release instead of reach. Teach me how to stand in the gap with wisdom. Teach me how to discern when to speak and when to be still, when to stay close and when to let go, when to intervene and when to entrust. Let me love with open hands, not clenched fists. Let me hold space without holding control. Let me care deeply without carrying what was never mine to hold. You are the shepherd. You are the healer. You are the restorer of what I cannot rebuild. You are the comforter in rooms I will never walk into. You are the voice that reaches when mine cannot. You are the one who draws near when others drift. You are never late to their story, never absent from their process, never unsure of what to do next. So I choose again to trust you. With the child I can reach. With the parent I can repair. With the friend who one speak. With the stranger whose suffering weighs on my soul. I trust you with the community that feels fractured, with the injustice I can solve. With the need I can meet. I trust that even my tears are prayers, that even my silence is heard, that even when I walk away and surrender, you stay. Let me live lighter, not from detachment, but from surrender. Let me be faithful in what is mine and free from what is not. Let me wake up with peace, not panic. Let me rest with release, not regret. Let me remember that I am not the answer you are, and you are near. You are good. You are enough. Father, you did not ask me to be the Savior. You asked me to follow the Savior, to trust in His timing, His reach, His tenderness. So I walk beside those I love, not ahead of them. I pray with hope, not pressure. I speak truth, but leave the results in your hands. And in the spaces where my heart wants to do more, I trust that my prayer is enough, that your Spirit knows how to go where I cannot. Remind me that trust is not passivity. It is the bold act of stepping back so that you can step in. It is the courageous decision to stay soft even when I feel helpless. It is the holy choice to keep believing even when nothing has changed. And it is the deep breath I take when I say, "You are God, and I am not," and that is good news. Let that breath be my prayer. Let that posture be my peace. Let that surrender be my strength. And let it all rise to you not as giving up, but as giving over. You are trustworthy. You are always working. And even when I can fix what hurts, I can trust that you never stop healing. Not just others, but me too. In every letting go, you are holding me closer. And that, I am learning, is more than enough. Father, as I breathe in this quiet trust, now resting in what I cannot fix and releasing what I was never meant to carry, I feel something deeper than peace settling into my soul. It is grace, not the kind I merely receive, but the kind I am now learning to carry. A grace not only for me, but through me. A grace that does not stay confined within prayers, but spills into how I live this day. And as the light rises again, You remind me that grace is not just a concept, it is my commission. You have taught me to lay things down. Now you are showing me how to pick something else up. I am not stepping into this day empty. I am stepping in covered, strengthened, and filled, not because of anything I have earned or resolved, but because of who you are and what you have already made available. Grace is not reserved for when I get it right. It is poured out over every moment, every mistake, every beginning, especially this one. God, help me walk through today carrying that grace with intention. Let it be the lens through which I see others. Let it soften the edges of how I speak, how I respond, how I interpret the world around me. Let grace guide me more than impulse, more than reaction, more than the pace the world tries to set. Let it be my rhythm, the steady, quiet assurance that I do not have to force, rush, or prove anything today. I carry grace not as a weight, but as a freedom to be present, a freedom to try and fail and still be held, a freedom to engage the world with gentleness instead of judgment, a freedom to extend to others what I have received so abundantly from you. This is the way of the kingdom, not earning or demanding, but living open-handed, aware of mercy in every breath. Let grace go ahead of me into every room I walk into today. Let it shape how I hold space for people who are hurting, how I listen when others speak, how I pause instead of react. Let it be my response when I am misunderstood, when I am disappointed, when I am tempted to shut down. Let it rise in the tension and settle over the rush. Let it remind me that the way I live matters not because I am perfect, but because I am being shaped by love. And Lord, let that grace cover me too. Let it meet me when I forget who I am, when I reach for old patterns, when I fall short in ways I thought I would grow out of. Let me not spiral into shame. Let me remember that growth is not a straight line, it is the faithful return. And you always welcome me back, not with lecture, but with love, with arms wide, with heart wide, with mercy fresh like morning light. Let grace not be something I visit. Let it be where I live. Let it be my first language, the one that teaches me how to speak life instead of sarcasm, how to build instead of break, how to see beyond behavior into the brokenness beneath. Let it remind me that kindness is not weakness. It is strength refined. It is power that chooses restraint. It is truth dressed in compassion. Today will not be perfect. I want to be perfect. The world will be messy, unpredictable, sometimes cruel, but I do not walk into it unarmed. I walk in clothed with grace, clothed in the awareness that nothing I encounter today is outside the reach of redemption. Every moment is an invitation. Every interruption can become an intersection between heaven and earth. And every breath I take is proof that you are still with me. Still speaking. Still moving. Father, let grace also be my guard. Let it protect me from bitterness when I am met with coldness. Let it shield me from despair when the headlines scream of heartbreak. Let it anchor me when anxiety tries to pull me in too many directions. Let it ground me in the truth that I do not need to respond to every demand, solve every crisis, or carry every weight. I only need to abide, to stay close, to listen for your voice in the middle of it all. Let me also remember that grace is not just for comfort, it is for courage. It is not passive. It empowers. It gives me strength to say no when I need to. It gives me humility to apologize when I have been wrong. It gives me clarity to walk away from what drains me and discernment to stay where growth is slow. It is not fluffy. It is fierce. It is the fuel I need for this day, and the next, and the next. Help me not to hoard it. Help me not to filter who deserves it. Help me not to forget that the most challenging people in my life may be the ones most desperate to receive it. Let me see with your eyes, not just the surface, but the sorrow. Let me extend mercy before I form assumptions. Let me love first and ask questions later. And even when I am met with resistance, let me continue anyway, not out of obligation, but out of overflow. Lord, thank you that your grace is not just enough, it is always more than enough, more than I expected, more than I needed, more than I dared to ask for. Thank you that I do not have to ration it or earn it or explain why I still need it today. It just comes, quiet and constant, like the sun through my window, like breath in my lungs. Let me live aware of it. Let me speak from it. Let me move because of it. And when I forget again, because I will lead me back gently, back to this moment, back to this truth, back to this place where I am reminded that grace is not a pause in the journey. It is the path, and every step I take with you is soaked in it. So here I go, into this new day, not empty, not anxious, not alone. I carry grace, and it carries me. Lord, as this quiet morning journey draws near its final breath, I feel no ending here, only a gentle unfolding. Not a closing door, but an opening window. Not a final word, but a deep exhale that makes space for what comes next. You have carried me through valleys of surrender, peaks of promise, hours of waiting, and moments of awakening. And now, as I sit with everything you have poured into me, I do not feel full, I feel ready. Ready not because I have all the answers, but because I have been held by the one who is enough. Father, today does not mark the completion of something, it marks the continuation. This is not the last prayer, but the next step, because what we have shared in the stillness does not stay in the stillness. It walks with me into the ordinary, into my daily rhythm, into the places that feel so far from sacred, but are the very soil where you have taught me to plant truth, to water it with trust, and to wait for it to bloom. I carry what you have formed in me, peace that no storm can take, strength that does not shout but stands, trust that does not tremble with time, and a hope that breathes even in the dark. I carry the stillness of your voice and the fire of your love. I carry grace, not as a shield from pain, but as a path through it. I carry forgiveness for others and for myself. I carry light not just to hold, but to reflect. And I carry every whispered word, every silence that shaped me, every holy pause that became a prayer in motion. You have shown me that sacred things do not always sound loud. They sound like quiet obedience, soft courage, gentle love. They look like open hands and brave hearts They show up not only in the extraordinary, but in the way I answer a call, in how I make space for someone else's story, in how I choose kindness when I could choose comfort. The holiness of this journey is not in how it ends, but in how it continues through me. Through today, through every moment I choose to stay connected to you. God, thank you for the invitation to linger, for the space to be honest, for the grace to not rush the process, for every word I did not have to perfect. Just offer, for meeting me here, not once, but again and again, in my doubt, in my delay, in my desire to understand and my need to simply be. Thank you for walking with me not ahead or behind, but beside, always. And now, as I rise from this moment of stillness, I rise softer, but not weaker. I rise clearer, but not needing clarity for every step. I rise slower, but with deeper purpose. I rise not with striving, but with surrender, because I no longer believe that doing more means becoming more. I believe that becoming more means remaining near, and I choose to remain near to your voice, near to your spirit, near to your heart. What you have done in me does not stay here. It stretches into how I speak, how I serve, how I breathe through moments of tension and lift others in theirs. It turns into songs unsung and stories yet lived. It becomes the way I carry silence without shame, the way I sit in mystery without needing to solve it. It becomes how I look at others not with judgment, but with curiosity, with love that listens more than it explains. This day is not empty. It is filled with seeds. Some I will plant, some I will water, some I may never see bloom. But still I will scatter them, believing that what begins in faith never ends in vain. I do not walk blindly, I walk bravely, because your goodness does not depend on the weather or the world, it depends on who you are. And you are steady. You are with me. You are ahead of me. You are within me. So here I go not as someone who has arrived, but as someone who has awakened, not as someone who needs to be seen, but as someone who has been known, not as someone who will never falter, but as someone who now knows how to fall into grace and get up slower, deeper, wiser. Every step from here is not a return to old patterns. It is a step into holy ground, into real life, real faith, real light. I know now that this world needs more than my knowledge. It needs my presence. It needs my prayer, even when unspoken. It needs my peace, even when unannounced. It needs people who have been with you long enough to recognize you in the faces of strangers and the flicker of small joys. I want to be one of those people, not because I am better, because I have chosen to stay connected when the world called me to perform, because I have chosen to remain soft in a world growing hard, because I have chosen to remain hopeful when hope is out of fashion, because I have chosen to remain with you. So to the ones still listening, still walking this path with me, I thank you for staying through every quiet chapter, for being part of something deeper than noise. Thank you for bringing your heart to this table and opening your soul in a world that so often asks us to hide. I do not know where this finds you today, in joy or sorrow, in clarity or confusion, but I believe it finds you in a place where something in you is still reaching for light. And that reach is holy. Don't stop reaching. Don't stop returning to the silence where God still speaks. Don't stop trusting that even if your steps are slow, they are sacred. You do not have to have fire in your voice to carry flame in your spirit. You do not have to have the right words to belong in prayer. You are already held, already welcome, already known. Let that truth settle like light over your day. If this journey has spoken to something tender in you, I invite you to share your own prayer below. Let your voice join what has been whispered here. Someone else may need the very honesty you offer. And if this walk has stirred something real in your spirit, I ask you to stay with it. Revisit this space as often as needed. Let it become a rhythm, a reminder, a return. Subscribe to the channel to walk with us again. Share this prayer if you believe someone else may need to hear they are not alone. Keep showing up to your faith, not perfectly, but fully. Keep choosing love. Keep choosing light. Keep choosing the quiet miracle of believing again and again. And as this day begins, may you step into it gently, not rushed, not empty, but carried by a peace that lingers like the breeze just before the sun breaks through, soft, steady, and full of promise.